Are you unknowingly pushing a dismissive avoidant further and further away, despite wanting more closeness with them? Well, loving somebody with a dismissive avoidant attachment style can be a confusing process, specifically because they have such unique needs from a relationship compared to most every other attachment style. And if you don't understand what these unique needs are and what some of these patterns are, you might actually be driving them further away without even knowing it. So in today's video, I'm going to break down for you 5 mistakes people often make when loving a dismissive avoidant. And at the end of the video, we'll talk about what you can do instead that has the opportunity to improve the relationship and quality of it if that's a healthy thing for you. So first and foremost, one of the biggest things I often see is that people try to move too fast. This first one is probably the most obvious one. And the reason for this is that when people try to get reassurance or validation by attaching to an outcome, they accidentally put pressure on the relationship. And there is a huge difference between going to a dismissive avoidant and constantly saying, what are we? Are we labeling the relationship and constantly dropping hints and pushing things? In any of those cases, that's going to be something that actually causes the dismissive avoidant to get cold feet and to run away. But there's a very big difference between pressuring versus being somebody who's secure enough to just openly communicate your needs and your standards. So for example, let's say you're 2-3 months into a relationship, you may say to somebody, and by the way, it's usually most securely attached people end up committing around 3 months, sometimes 4 months, sometimes 2 months, but really within that 3 or so month area into something more serious or to more monogamous. And you'll see in this particular case, securely attached people, they would go to an avoidant and say, hey, we've been together for 3 months and I'm really enjoying spending time with you. I am somebody who's looking for a committed relationship. And I want to know that if I'm going to keep spending time and investing in this relationship, that you're going to be moving towards that goal with me so that we can get on the same page. It doesn't have to be immediate. It doesn't have to be right now, but I need to know that we're literally on the same page in how we're approaching this. Otherwise, I'm going to have to be respectful of my own time and consider what I'm doing here. And so what somebody's doing from that perspective is they are just openly sharing their needs and their standards. They're not saying, are we together? What's going on? And constantly pressuring or dropping hints, because all of those things are just going to be things that make somebody feel engulfed or stressed or like there's constant pressure happening from every angle. But you should also make sure that you're not somebody who's pressuring for something or investing in somebody who's not willing to give that back. So having a perspective where you enter into this relationship dynamic and you just say, hey, these are my needs. These are my standards. I want to be respectful of my own time too. I need to know that we're moving in the same direction. Those are the healthiest ways for you to obtain certainty without ever having to feel like you're pressuring the dynamic. Because again, there's a difference between pushing on somebody else versus sharing what your truth is and letting that be there. Number 2, this is a huge one. This is probably the biggest one. This is the mistake of negative framing. Okay. This is something that happens all the time. A lot of individuals go into a relationship with a dismissive avoidant and they end up feeling like, okay, I'm going to just have to meet all of their needs or try to guess what they need. And a lot of times, because a lot of people who are attracted to dismissive avoidance trend towards being a little more codependent by nature, they end up in situations where they hold in their own needs, don't talk about what they need. And then eventually they get frustrated. And then it comes out as like low level criticism if you're more anxious, or even a lot of criticism or frustration if you're fearful avoidant. This is called negative framing. Let me show you an example. There's a big difference between saying something like, hey, I'm feeling a little disconnected this week. I really want us to spend some more quality time together. Why don't we plan a fun date night this weekend? Versus saying, you don't care about me. You never try to spend time with me. Do you even care about this relationship? What's wrong? Because when you say like, you don't, you're not this, you're not that, all that happens is somebody's defensive wires are tripped. And in particular with the dismissive avoidant, because they tend to be quite highly sensitive to criticism, that often triggers this defective core wound, these inner shame wounds that they've been carrying because of childhood emotional neglect, which will often create a sense of defectiveness or shamefulness for somebody deep down, which we talk a lot about on this channel. So positive framing is about saying what you do need instead of what's not happening and what you don't want and saying it from a place of criticism. And again, All of these things are going to give you really important feedback. I think that so many people, because I saw this all the time working with couples, would be absolutely shocked at how much, if a dismissive avoidant has a partner who communicates literally and directly and positively frames, actually makes an effort and tries. I definitely acknowledge that, like, my sample size as well was people that were coming into counseling and coaching. And so I understand that. But I saw all the time that dismissive avoidants, when they were communicated to through positive framing, would really make an effort and step up to see if they could meet their partner's needs. But they will always, your needs will always fall on deaf ears if they come from a place of negative framing. Number 3, holding things in to please the avoidant, and then they come out with a sense of volatility or emotional dysregulation. So this kind of leapfrogs off of what we just talked about in number 2, which is that dismissive avoidants don't like emotional volatility. It causes them to shut down. It causes them to feel isolated, confused. They didn't have a lot of healthy modeling growing up for how to do conflict or how to take challenging conflict and turn it into something positive and connecting. So it's very easy for a dismissive avoidant to get quite dysregulated when a conflict ensues. And as a result, if you end up in a situation where you are trying to please the avoidant or walk on eggshells or never actually share, and then that comes out in a lot of frustration, or even comes out in like a laundry list of all the things that aren't being done and weren't happening, that sort of screams of volatility and inauthenticity. And that's something that can sabotage the relationship. All of these points so far, and we still have 2 more to cover, are pointing to the same themes: literal, direct communication. And this really points me on number 4, like actually being able to directly, literally communicate by painting a picture of what it is that you're needing. So if you leave too much room for something to be vague or ambiguous, or you're hoping this person will mind read, or hoping the avoidant will like read between the lines about what you need, or you find yourself in a position in a relationship where you sulk to see if that person will say, oh, what's wrong? I can see something's going on. All of these things are just causing destruction to the relationship. And honestly, if you see yourself doing these things, it's also a sign that you're somebody who needs to work on communicating your needs more directly in order to become securely attached. Again, this is not me saying that like relationships are always going to be easy or that you should be perfect, because I know it's not always easy. And, we're humans at the end of the day. And so you may find yourself falling into the trap of sulking sometimes or having an attitude instead of just saying directly what's wrong. And that's okay. But those are all amazing things to work on that will help you, if you're the loved one of a dismissive avoidant, to, in the very least, if the relationship doesn't work and if you're doing all these things, and we still have one more to cover, but in the very least, if you're doing all these things, you're communicating directly about your needs, your standards, you're not holding things in, you're communicating in a healthy, regulated way. You're painting a picture very literally of what you need, right? Don't just say, oh, I want more support. Say support looks like ABC to me. Okay. Support looks like you taking out the trash. Support looks like you giving me a hug. Support looks like we have to really paint a picture, be direct, be clear, be literal. At worst, if you practice all these things, you're going to grow tremendously. And if you're with somebody in a relationship who doesn't jump on board with you and grow with you, then it's not meant to be. And at least you got to grow in the meantime of having the relationship not work out. But I think you'd be pleasantly surprised at how many dismissive avoidants actually show up when these communication pieces are in order. And I'll tell you number 5, but just before I do, I just want to let you know we actually have free access for 14 days to all of the personal development school. This gives you all the courses about understanding the dismissive avoidant for free for a limited time. You can go in there, take some, download them, like really dive into them. And there are also courses for healing your attachment style and even relationship interaction courses. So like a fearful avoidant with a dismissive avoidant, the roadmap, anxious with dismissive, the roadmap, all of them for each attachment style pairing. So all of those are fully free, all free resources just for a limited time for Valentine's Day month. So I will put a link to all those free resources down below before the window closes and time runs out. And last but not least, number 5 is positive reinforcement. When somebody's doing something, when an avoidant is doing something in the relationship, tell them like, hey, I notice you're trying. Hey, I see that you're doing what we talked about. I see that you're putting in an effort, because they respond very, very well to positive reinforcement, especially because you have to imagine if you grew up in an environment where there just wasn't a lot of healthy modeling for what a relationship is supposed to look like. Sometimes you'll wonder, am I doing it right? Is this the right way? Is this what I was supposed to do? And it can be a little bit more confusing. So when somebody's saying, I see you, you are trying, thank you, they're validating, but also you're telling this person, please continue, right? You're giving that person your needs. You're letting them know that that impacts you, that that's meaningful to you, so that they can continuously do that, which is only going to lead to you getting your needs met more should you be with that right person. And I'll end this video on one note, which is I say this all the time inside the personal development school in our webinars and internal classes, but um, I never used to care what people's attachment styles were when they would come to see me in my practice. I would care when I first saw a couple on day one. The first thing I would be scanning for and like paying attention to and looking for cues around were not like what was their attachment style, what is the pairing. I would be looking for are both people willing to do the work? And some dismissive avoidance won't be. And some of them really will. And so by doing these 5 things, by not making these mistakes, you're ensuring that you're growing, you're operating at a higher standard in a way that's most likely to make the relationship with this person work out if they're willing to meet you part way. But if they're not, you're practicing all the skills and tools for future relationships where people are. And so I hope you give yourself that gift. I hope you give your avoidant loved one that opportunity to take that gift if they decide to. But at the end of the day, you're going to get a lot of certainty and clarity if you apply these 5 principles. If you're somebody who's truly interested in helping others while also securing financial freedom for your future, there is a limited time option to join our 50% off certified relationship coach program. And this is a 12-week program where you can create financial freedom, work from anywhere in the world, and truly make an impact on other individuals' lives by becoming a certified relationship coach in just 12 weeks. Throughout this entire 12 weeks, you will learn all of the tools that you need to discover somebody's attachment style and help them heal and change their attachment style if they are insecurely attached so that they can become secure and build the best relationships of their life. On top of that, you'll learn all about the subconscious mind and how to actually rewire our painful limiting beliefs, our painful behavioral patterns, and help your clients learn their relationship needs, as well as the needs of their loved ones. You'll also learn how to build a thriving coaching practice and set yourself up for long-term success. You'll learn all of the business tips and tools you need to build funnels, leverage marketing strategies, and really thrive in the marketplace. Even if you have absolutely no coaching experience, this certification will give you everything you need starting from scratch to become a thriving relationship coach. You can find more using the link down below. So that's it for today. I hope this was meaningful for you. Let me know any other mistakes you've seen yourself make in the comments down below or any learnings that you have. Please also let me know if you want to see specific videos and content. I mean, I pull content ideas from the video comments all the time. And thank you for stopping by and watching. Please like, share with somebody who might benefit, or subscribe to this channel if you don't want to miss out on any future daily content. Thanks for watching.